You want a better life. Let's make it real. This is a better life. From scars to stars, from pain to bulletproof, to reach a better life. A better life with you. Talking news, pop culture life, love and scandal, heart to heart. No playing small, we rise, we fall, we laugh, we do it all. A better life is one brave call to reach a better life. Let's build a better life. Let's build a better life. A better life to reach a better life.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a crazy 24 hours or so. I feel like I say that every time we come on, right? Because it's just crazy all the time. Welcome back, and say hello and where you're watching from. We have some interesting news from Zack, Wolves and Finance. He posted something. I don't know if you guys saw. Hello, Retro Blink. I don't know if you saw the post. I know some of you did because you commented that Erika Kirk and Turning Point USA have decided to send a cease and desist letter to Zack, which is a first step. Hopefully they're being honest in that they don't really want to have things result in a lawsuit or anything like that. But it is a little bit scary for anybody, creators, especially small creators. That Zack is, he's bigger than me, but, a smaller creator because, it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources to be able to defend something like that. And if you were around last year with and still have your interest in Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, last year, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds went after content creators. Some platforms had fewer than 50, fewer than 100 subscribers on their platform. YouTube, let's see, they sued 100. I think they went after, the number in the end was 107 content creators. Tiny ones to bigger ones, and of course Candace Owens, we know, got a subpoena, but they subpoenaed them for their financial information, for subscribers, to anything that they could get their hands on, they were asking for. So that a lot of people were in a panic about that, and some of the, like I said, the smaller, younger ones, especially were pretty nervous. So Zack, he did his video. Let me know in the comments if you watched his video or not. He did post the full paperwork because people were accusing him of lying, as they do on the internet. They don't, like what they see. They call you names. They attack your physical appearance. They attack your sanity, your mental health. They question that. They question if you're just flat out lying about it. But so he did post the entire letter, which I read, and also compared what they were asking for, and ran his videos back, because in each of the paragraphs that they were alleging complaints about, lies or falsehoods or defamatory comments that they had listed the particular videos that they had issue with. So anyway, he is really gentle in his approach. He often uses things like "it looks like," or "it could be," or "red flags," or, "it's questionable," or "it causes me concern," or, he uses language like that. So they did not like the fact that he said Doge style audit. So they didn't like the word audit, and they would like him to not use the word audit. Now, this is petty. This is so petty to use. He said Doge style audit. They said it was a Doge effort. It's the same thing. It's an audit. It's an effort to go in to see where funds are going to, where they're coming from, and what's going on. And obviously, Charlie had questions about that, or he wouldn't have been asking for that. So, and if you remember that, was it Tyler Boyer he removed from that seat there, and he was, then started digging into this, and Turning Point USA decided to not move forward with the Doge effort. Why? I don't know. Maybe the same reasons they've not moved forward with many of the other directions that Charlie Kirk was headed in. But anyway, so I went back and looked at those. Let's see. He did say, like, in the 990s, so their tax filings, he was saying that it looks like they were never turned in. Yeah, and a little bit later after that, he does use a little bit stronger language, and that somebody decided not to file them. Big deal. It's not that big of a deal. So this lets me know they're really letting us know they're going to be petty, and they're going to nitpick every little thing. Hi from Texas. Hi, Jets. They must be losing a lot of donors. Yeah, I think when people start to question and look into financials, any question of that makes them nervous. And obviously Turning Point is nervous because they want to so here's what, if they just want to set the record straight, why aren't they just going out and setting the record straight and making a statement like they did? As a matter of fact, this is so odd because Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett went on a live and they addressed some of these things. They addressed them straight out. And so at that point, it was set aside. They answered the questions. Fine. But they decided to go ahead. So again, this is a warning, just like the warning Charlie got in the neck to shut up, although his was a final warning. Hello from Helsinki. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining us. So the other thing that they had a problem with was Zack using the word shell company. So, a shell company. So they didn't want him to use these terms. They can't sit there and dictate and nitpick to everybody the exact word you say, how you say it, the tone you say it in, and this is what they're trying to do. And this lets me know if they're going to, so imagine this, if they're pointing fingers and petty little fingers like this right now to people on external, outside of Turning Point USA, it's got to be a mess in there right now. It's got to be a mess, and they're pointing fingers. So they are pointing fingers on every little thing, so you know that they are nervous. So I looked up, just for fun, what a shell company is, what the definition of a shell company is, because they actually have shell companies. So a shell company is a company with no significant assets. So one of those had no assets, and they moved money from one of the Turning Point businesses to another. So it had no significant assets that are used as a vehicle. Let's see, with no significant assets that is used as a vehicle for financial maneuvers or kept dormant for future use in some other capacity, which is exactly what it looked like they were doing on paper, in my opinion, allegedly. Everything here, unless if it's fact, I'll say so. But most of this is all we're investigating, we're digging in, we're asking questions. And as a matter of fact, in his statements, Zack often says, so I'm looking for an answer to these questions. We want answers to our questions. So, one of the reasons is that it's a 501c3. So that means they get endowments. They get our tax dollars to help fund them so they can do the things good that their nonprofit claims to do. So yes, so many people in the social media, on X or whatever, wherever they're at, they'll comment like, what do they owe you? They don't owe you answers. Well, as a matter of fact, they really do. They do owe us answers because they are using our money to help them. Okay? We're helping pay for that. So yes, they owe us some answers. Let's see. What I'm looking at, the other problem that they had with Zack's video was that he said there were ghost employees, what appeared to be ghost employees, because there were no employees, although they were listing salaries and saying that chunks of money were being moved for salaries where there were no employees stated. They also wanted him to take back statements that he made because in error, they made an error in their filing. So when he made his statement, it was based upon what they had filed and what they had stated. They made an error, so they're calling him as out for making false statements. Well, I don't think so, because if your error doesn't constitute false statements on my part, because you made a statement in your filing. You made a statement in your claims, and that doesn't mean it's on me. The onus is on you to go in and correct that. So if they made a mistake, then they need to be the ones to go in and correct that. But they want somebody else to do it for them. So let's see, scrolling down. So on December 14th, the YouTube video, Tim Pool rants about Turning Point. It says you made several defamatory statements, including asking whether the money sent to 110 LLC, if you remember, Jake Hoffman, who used to be a representative in Arizona, or is a representative in Arizona, has a P.O. box there, and that company supposedly is a marketing company. And so he's asking questions. So they said, you're asking, why Tyler Boyer is an independent contractor. So they don't like these questions. They don't like the inference that he's making. However, Zack is I've found him to be very respectful in how he speaks, and but he's firm. He's very firm. He knows what he's talking about. He knows red flags. He's been a whistleblower before, so he has some education behind him, some wisdom and some knowledge as far as accounting goes. So it'll be interesting to see who else gets cease and desist letters. But to me, this is a warning, and they want to chill free speech, just like Blake Lively did. So the whole point, there was content creators back last year when they got subpoenaed. People just quit. In fact, I had a friend who was posting and regularly posting about the case, and things that we were uncovering and evidence and all of that. And when the subpoenas started going out, the person just disappeared from social media and stopped. There are a lot of people who, in fact, there was a very large one that stopped reporting on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, which is what they want. They want to make it a little bit more quiet for their benefit. So let's see what else we have. So I wanted to, let's see, where is that? There was a longer part of the video. How much time do we have? We don't have much time. Okay, I won't do that then. Okay. So I'm in the process of looking at looking at Turning Point Endowment and investigating the different things that they're getting into there, because I have a hunch it's some real estate and finance and banking ventures. That's my guess. Especially with Donald Trump. I know he's really close with TPUSA for whatever reason. I'm sure we can guess, but if they're going to deny BlackRock and some of the other big companies the ability to go in and purchase real estate like they've been doing to buy up residential real estate, rent it or sell it for, high prices, if he's denying them that, then there's another company that he's setting up to do the same thing. We know how this works. We weren't born yesterday. We know how all this works, guys. And so, yeah, you're not gonna keep fooling us. I think a lot of people are waking up, and we're not going to be fooled anymore by what they're doing. We've been alive long enough and seeing enough of the patterns play out over and over and over and over again that we're not just saying, okay, we believe you. And we did that. Donald Trump had his moment. And speaking of Donald Trump and all that whole Epstein file thing, I'm working on something as well. I have been really engaged with the Sasha Riley story and the information that he's been giving us regarding Donald Trump and a lot of the other players involved. So I'm digging into that as well. I've got a couple people who have volunteered to help in some of that investigation. And some people located in certain areas of the country who can help and get to things and get some things uncovered. Yeah, so that's in the works. I want you to keep your eyes out for that. Here's another thing. Nick Fuentes, I just saw a thing this afternoon. He was on a podcast and he was talking about how he's just received a sponsor offer and received an offer of 6 figures. This sponsor is willing to pay him 6 figures to, say the ads during his shows, and it's gold. So they're really pushing gold. And I want you to be aware of this. I want you to be aware of why they're pushing gold. Not to scare you, but to have you vigilant and your eyes open and being able to do the things that you need to do to protect yourself financially. Okay. So they're pushing it hard. That's a lot of money for a sponsor. And it's heavy. Some of my favorite people are doing it. Candace has done it. Redacted has done it. They're pushing gold so hard, you guys. And when people in charge and in finance start telling regular folks, and they're advertising and pushing you to buy gold, pay attention, because it means there's trouble coming. So, there's an old saying, nobody pushes raincoats when the sky is blue. So it's not something that you use to get rich quick, but people buy gold when they're worried about losing what they already have, and when the markets are unstable and geopolitics is unstable and all of that stuff. And we know with everything, with the Epstein files, with the wars, with the intrusions, with the threats of war, it's really unstable. So they did this ahead of COVID. They did it ahead of the housing crash in 2008. Let's see. Let me look at my notes here. So it's because they're not fully trusting the money and the economy. And so history shows that when gold starts getting promoted, the economy doesn't calm down, it gets even more unpredictable. And we've seen that in the markets. I don't pay a ton of, this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a normal, everyday citizen who's interested in what's going on right now. And so I'm just telling you so that you can, have your eyes open. But the prices swing more, highs and lows, the markets get jumpy. and it shouldn't be ignored. So and then usually things feel slowly different, little bits of things, slow rule changes and costs rise, and it goes pretty slow, and then all of a sudden it just gets really rough. And so anyways, it's indicative that they have some information about what's coming down and what we're going to be facing, and they're preparing also for harder time. So what I'm doing, I am focusing on decreasing debt, paying off debt like fast, because this is, as things become unstable and jobs, there's several corporations who have trimmed up in their executives, and so once that happens, then it'll start trickling down. So if people lose their jobs, so yeah, I would just encourage you, if you have debt, big, small debt, whatever, start with your smallest first. Just get it out of the way. Just start banging away at that as quickly as you can, and prepare yourself that way. I don't have a ton of money to be investing in the stock market or any. I don't want to go put it in gold because I don't even trust they have the physical gold. And what can sometimes happen is if you buy gold and you call in the markers and say you want that gold, a lot of times they'll stop people from doing that. So I don't even trust they even have the physical gold, which maybe that's why they went to Venezuela, because they've got it. They've got a lot of other things. So what could happen is they could freeze that. And then if the dollar is failing, you guys, then they'll just force you into that digital currency, which they're going to find a way to do. Anyway, so let me look at your comments real quick. I know I said a lot. Blake hasn't changed throughout the case. Blake is still Blaking. Ryan Reynolds is still snaking. Blake. And so, okay. Retro Plank. Exactly. Same way pennies are disappearing, they are recollecting copper. And then Mark, let's see, wishing you best of luck on your new channel. Go Max, Teresa. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And we'll keep going and keep saying it loud and keep saying it proud. Yes. Hello, Cisco. The U.S. government had taken people's gold away before. Exactly. And I really think something's up for me. I know that they're pushing it. And I'm like, no, I know if they're doing that, in my opinion, it's not something I want to jump in and do, but I do want to take care of my finances where I can in the safest and smartest way possible, which is to start getting out of debt, paying off those credit cards, and paying down things as much as you can. Don't go get loans. Don't get a second mortgage. I know some, people did that in 2008 and were, victims of that, of the bubble bursting there. And it took a long time for them to, people lost money on their property. So, yeah. Let me go over to Candace's page here. I want to make sure we don't miss any of that. It is 4 o'clock, so I'm going to share that screen now. Let the floodgates open. Okay, legal turning points. There we go. Okay, so if you're here for the first time, thank you for joining. I appreciate your support and your help, and all the content creators need it. We all need each other, and there's more of us than there are of them, and so that's the only way we're going to win, is by sticking together. So I appreciate you being here. During Candace's break, I like to put her on mute, but I will still have her channel, her window open and up so that we can see her sponsors ads. And then, we'll talk some, when she takes a break. And I don't pause a whole lot. If there's something I really, really want to say, I'll pause it and jump in. But for the most part, I try to let that play, because I know that can be annoying sometimes, and I don't want to, if I have something to say, I'll say it, but we're all here because her channel's so crazy and fast and so many people that we can't even talk to each other. So at least here we can. And she's about to go. So I'm going to put her on there and maximize the screen and take out her comments. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Yes, please go to Candace's stream and drop a like. If you have another computer, TV device, whatever, it would be awesome to stream both. That would be sweet. Floodgates. I think she's talking about Dan Flood today. Ooh, good clue, huh? Well, that would be interesting because I was just looking at that video that I was telling you about last week about Dan Flood, them thinking his watch got broken from the boom and that he may have a piece of plastic in his arm, a piece of shrapnel from the boom that we think may have occurred more likely than the bullet theory. Let's go. Yes. Yes, thank you. And please like this stream. Hit the heart next to the comments so that it lets the algorithm know you're here and interested. And please, yes, subscribe and hit all the notifications bells. And that would be great. And I want to make sure I don't have this muted. Okay. So I just started doing lives a few weeks ago, right, guys? Like a month, maybe 4 weeks ago, 4.5 weeks ago. Yeah, so bear with me. I do still make mistakes. I apologize. I try to keep them to a minimum, but I am, a beginner, and I'm looking to become profesh to do a good job for you guys. So yeah. Appreciate we had a little bit of audio issue last week, which was a really big bummer. So I go in 3 times a day practically to make sure things are set up the way they need to and nothing gets kicked out of whack while we're waiting to go. So yeah. 4 to 5 weeks ago, I saw your channel and thought, who is this? So I clicked to see who you were. Ah, thank you. And you've been here ever since. You're doing great. Thank you, Retro. Thank you for coming back and not giving up. I appreciate that. Oh, I'm so excited about what's to come, you guys, of something that's in the works. I am so excited, and I hope it pans out. And if it doesn't, I'll tell you what it is. And when it's ready to happen, I'll tell you too. But now it's just a sweet little secret I get to keep teasing you about. I get to tease you with. It's coming. Oh, goodness. I wonder if Candace got a cease and desist. Here we go.
All right, you guys, it is MLK Day, which means that no one, absolutely no one, can tell me that I cannot talk about my dreams today. Today might actually just be one long I had a dream speech. Well, guess what? We found out something stunning about Dan Flood that apparently everybody missed. And this is actually potentially a game changer, or rather, it might reveal how the entire game works. It makes perfect sense now to me that the feds are doing nothing to investigate Charlie Kirk's assassination. Speaking of which, Turning Point USA has done a thing. They've done a thing. They sent a cease and desist letter to a relatively small YouTuber, Wolves and Finance. We've shown a clip of Wolves and Finance on the show once. I assume that this means that Andrew Colvett is still heading up the PR department because it's a disaster. Welcome back to Candace.
It's a bad call. When Blake Lively did it, it was a mess, and she's not recovered, and she won't.
Okay, before we get started, a quick thank you to Nimi Skincare for supporting the show. Nimi Skincare makes my skin glow. They're straightforward, effective. They make their products here in America, and they are consistent with the principles that I care about. So visit NIMIskincare.com today. Okay, you guys, let the floodgates open. Crazy, 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 crazy what I'm about to tell you. And how I discovered it is actually even crazier. So you might imagine that I get a lot of emails, some of which are a little less than sane. I will say that. That's putting it mildly. And there was this one guy who was emailing me consistently saying that, first and foremost, he knew that Charlie was going to be assassinated, all sorts of things that immediately made my eyebrow raise, obviously. For example, he said that he knew who killed JFK. A group of people, he said, killed JFK. All right, buddy, that's what I was thinking, I'm sure. He said that the families of those who had orchestrated the murder of JFK, corrupt cops, mafia members, I believe, obviously, that, yeah, they were a part of the ensemble. But he said that those same families were also involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, a group of Texas boys. I'm like, right, sure, got it, not answering this. He even said that Golda Meir, the one-time prime minister of Israel, well, her and Lyndon Baines, he said, are brother and sister, and he knows this for a fact. Now, I'd say that's the most convincing thing he said because they are absolute twins. But anyway, obviously, I was not biting on any of this because even if it were true, what am I going to do with all this information? Like, I can't get into a time machine and call for new elections in 1963. I already hate Lyndon Baines Johnson for free. I already think he's involved in JFK's assassination. And Golda Meir, look, I'm not exactly known as the voice of the Israeli people. So then he starts emailing me in another inbox, and he says something to the effect of, I see that you have tunnel vision and all you care about is Charlie Kirk's assassination. So why don't I tell you about how that worked so that maybe you will begin to see the bigger picture here? And he says, and I'm going to put in a very strong allegedly here because I don't have any proof of this, but it's relevant that I tell you this to get to the part where I do have proof of what he's saying. He says that allegedly all of the bought and paid for cops throughout America are a part of what's known as the cattleman's ball, colloquially, the cattle baron ball, which he claims is just one big, massive money laundering operation from Israel to buy off cops here in America. He claims that he was a part of it, by the way. So basically, this guy's implicating himself in a crime. Now, in case you're wondering off the bat, did I report this crime? I obviously have not even heard back from the feds regarding my initial report into what happened to Charlie Kirk. So why would I waste my time building upon the report when I haven't heard from them? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Not really. They're not really investigating things. I think we all accept that at this point. Anyway, for a little bit of background here, in case you're not familiar with sometimes known as the Cattleman's Ball, but more correctly should be known as the Cattle's Baron Ball down in Dallas, Texas. It's a single night fundraiser for the American Cancer Society. And it's massive. To be clear, it's the world's largest single night fundraiser. It was founded 50 years ago in Dallas, Texas, and now it's basically spread its tentacles into other states, presumably, again, fighting cancer. And we can pull up the website here so you can see multiple states that they're in. Majority Texas, obviously, but you can also see they got Kansas, Oregon, and some other states. Florida, Orlando, Florida's up there. Nebraska also once hosted its own Cattle Barons Ball that might be relevant. They eventually, from the Cattle Barons Ball, minted their own separate 501c3 referred to as Cattleman's Ball, which is the same exact idea, but it benefits a different cancer center, the Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center. Same idea, different beneficiary. Now, again, I want to assert that I cannot confirm those claims, that that's how cops are being paid off. I'm telling you that because the next piece he gave me, I was able to research. Again, paraphrasing, but he kept going on with, you're obsessed with Fort Huachuca. You think Charlie has been tracked for a while, right? Well, you haven't even figured out who Dan Flood is. Dan Flood is connected to both. You think it was an inside job from the feds? And none of you guys have even worked out who Dan Flood's father is. I said,
Ooh.
okay, now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
And you guys, I don't know how I missed it. I don't know how I missed it. Let me just say, LOL to the idea that the feds are going to do anything to look into what happened on September 10th. Because
Nope.
let me introduce to you guys Dan Flood's daddy, Mr. Robert Eugene Flood. Okay, now you see his picture up here. Yep, 33. Always got to see it. 33 years with the Texas A&M University Police Department Chief Deputy Robert Flood. It tells us the 232nd session, retired after 35 years of law enforcement in Illinois and Texas. I want you to remember that, Illinois and Texas. His last assignment was with the Bosque County, Texas Sheriff's Office. Okay, now we're going to pull up his LinkedIn because it's a bit of a journey. It's a journey, okay? It tells us that he, and honestly, I don't know if you can scroll to the bottom here so we can go bottom up and kind of get into, first and foremost, yes, FBI, graduated from the FBI National Academy. It tells us that state of Texas Master Peace Officer. But if you can go to scroll up a bit, and we're going to just go to, show all 10 experiences and scroll from the bottom so we can look at this live. Okay, so we know he's a Marine. We learned that he was a staff sergeant for the Marines, and he was particularly in charge of surveillance and target acquisition, small arms and weapons, tactical radio communications, aviation, ordnance, and weapons systems. You scroll up, and it tells us that he was working in Franklin Park, Illinois for over a decade. That's right on basically a couple of streets over from where Charlie Kirk was raised. And I was going, okay, that's really interesting. I then tried to find a single trace of his name mentioned in the news in Illinois. You would think if you were as it states here, crime scene technician, SWAT team leader, patrol division supervisor, criminal investigator, there would be tons of articles about. I couldn't find anything. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that I could not find anything at first, second, and third glance. Okay, then this random Electro Rent Corporation, which runs from Tokyo, Japan to Chicago. Let me know if you guys know what that is. Then we learned he became a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. Okay, we can scroll up here. Then he retired as a lieutenant colonel. He was then the captain of police, and some of this is concurrent, so it's interesting, for the University Park Police back down in Texas, chief deputy sheriff for Texas law enforcement. It goes on and on, okay? This guy, no question, is and was a Fed. And then it interestingly tells us that he joined the FBI AA. So in case you're like me and you have no idea what the FBI AA is, that stands for the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Agent Association, which is another charity founded in 1981. I can't believe this is legal, but I guess if you're the feds, it's all legal.
They
Founded
do
in
whatever.
1981, where former and current feds come together to, and this is directly from their website, help FBI special agents join together to
Nonprofit.
protect and advance the interests of their profession. Okay, what does that mean?
Huh?
A bunch of agents are coming together. That's according to their website. It says that their force, this FBI AA, consists of 14,000 former and current feds. Now, again, this is a charity. So if I'm a billionaire, I could just cut a check and buy me some federal officers. Again, I'm asking questions. That's how it works in charity world. We're learning that with Turning Point USA. The bigger the check you cut, the more influence you have on their operations. You get to tell them what they think about, what they talk about. So if I write a $10 million check to the FBI AA, do I have federal officers in every state? Anyway, yes, Dan Flood's family, as you can see, both his mother and his father, by the way, are from Illinois, just where Charlie, in the same area that Charlie came up in. And though I cannot assert this, I can't say this with certainty, I would be willing to bet that Mr. Flood, Dan's father, Robert Eugene Flood, probably knew Bill Montgomery, the guy who convinced Charlie to start Turning Point USA in Illinois, in the same neighborhood. Don't forget, Bill Montgomery was also military as well. He was Air Force. And now to clarify, because I got a lot of emails about this, the X-Men school, I could prefer to as the X-Men school that Charlie went to after they wanted to drug him for being brilliant, and his mother said no. That school is Quest Academy in Palatine, Illinois. It was formerly named the Children's Creative Academy. I maintain my belief that Charlie was being monitored by the government since he was young, and it was Bill Montgomery who organized and initially paid, you should know, for the full-time security that Charlie would need. He arranged that.
Hmm.
Bill Montgomery chose to hire Schaefer Security, which was run by Greg Schaefer. And working under Greg Schaefer was Dan Flood and Brian Harpole. And there's no mystery regarding Greg Schaefer, okay? He also is from Dallas, Texas, working for the FBI on the elite hostage and rescue team. He was a supervisor on the Dallas Joint Terrorism Task Force. And get this, also another Eastern European connection because he was also a part of their organization in Budapest, Hungary. If you didn't know, the FBI also has sub-offices all around the globe. And Greg was at least stationed in Budapest. He probably was stationed in other places. So Bill Montgomery, you got this guy. He hires Greg Schaefer and Dan Flood, and they're going to stay with Charlie forever. Brian Harpole. So we jump back into the narrative because it's going to get even more interesting. We had closed out last week informing you about New Braunfels, Texas, because people on the internet who had been tracking Erika's plane noticed that it kept going to this seemingly random city in Texas. And we dismissed that as potentially a nothing burger or something that makes sense, a sensible burger, because Turning Point's #1 donor, who last year in June cut a check for $10 million, the couple, Nelda and Carl Buckman, they live there, okay? What we didn't know at the time, we didn't know until this weekend, is that they aren't the only ones that live there. Dan Flood also lives in New Braunfels, Texas. I can confirm that. That's a fact. The question is why? What or who inspired Dan, who is from Allen, Texas, to move out to New Braunfels? That's where he graduated high school, by the way, in Allen, Texas. We know that for a fact because one of his high school buddies after the assassination posted this. Bro, the head of Charlie Kirk's security team, the guy they say is in on it was my friend as a kid. We grew up together. I went to middle and high school with Dan Flood. Matter of fact, last time I saw him, he was doing security for some Dallas billionaire at the Cattleman's Ball. What a crazy small world. Yeah, this dude has been in private security for at least 20 years. I had no idea he was running it for TPUSA. I would like to know, since he happened to mention the should-be cattle Barons Ball in Texas where he ran into him, who were the billionaires that Dan was working with? I think that could be a very interesting thing to know, don't you? Couldn't that be interesting to know?
Yes.
Because there have been a lot of things that are coming up here. We've noted that, oddly, all of Charlie's security that day was from Texas, from Rick Cutler to Dan Flood, even Brian Harpole. Brian Harpole, you should know, was also born in Dallas, Texas, and similar to Dan, his father, Bobby Harpole, back in 2018 when he was running for county sheriff in Erath, Texas, he gave an interview about his upbringing where he said, and I quote, "I was born in Denton, Texas, and grew up a quote-unquote military brat, living in numerous states and Europe. I started my law enforcement career in 1968 with the Texas Department of Public Safety, living in Amarillo for the Texans, Childress, Amarillo, Floresville, and Stevensville. I retired from TDPS as a sergeant in highway patrol. I then went to work for the Erath County Sheriff's Office, and after 12 years of service, retired as captain." Okay, interesting. They have tons of military ties. It's unbelievable. In fact, now his dad is working at a funeral home, which feels interesting change of career there at the end. The point is that when you begin to look into Harpole's extensive military and law enforcement ties, it brings you to the Pacific, through Europe, and of course, all through Texas, just like the Flood family. And yes, it goes back decades, okay? All of this to say, maybe the Dallas Buyers Club might get a new meaning. What are we buying down in Dallas, actually? What did happen in 1963? Why did this person know that? He claims that he has worked with their families. Are we expected to believe that the feds are meaningfully investigating the feds? How does that work? As a hypothetical question, if Dan Flood and Brian Harpole were actually guilty of organizing Charlie Kirk's assassination, again, this is hypothetical, do you believe that the feds would turn them over? I'm thinking they wouldn't.
No.
And that was kind of the point of what this person was saying to me. It's like, this corruption goes back to Dallas in the 60s. You can't, there's nothing that anybody can do. Anyways, thought it was an interesting tidbit that I wanted to give to you guys. We'll be right back after a brief break from our sponsors. All right, you guys, when people ask.
Well, there's got to be something we can do. There's always things we can do. First of all, we're getting hip to it. So the FBI Agents Association, FBIAA, they say behind every FBI special agent is a family, and behind every FBI family is the FBI Agents Association. It's a nonprofit. Again, we're paying for it. Taxpayers are doing that because they get subsidies and endowments from the federal government because of our tax dollars. 14,000 strong. For over 40 years, they've been doing this. A singular focus and a united voice. So that's FBIAA.org. Just so you know, we all need to know what our tax dollars are going to. Yeah. Okay. The leadership chapters. So they have chapters everywhere. And I'm sure Turning Point. Oh my gosh. This just stretches out. The tentacles just keep. I don't have an association. Yeah, protecting my interest. Well, that's supposed to be DC, right? That's supposed to be, that's our union. That's our union, and they're not doing it.
Not wait another month. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option available to you by visiting pdsdebt.com/Candace.
Wow, they have
Again,
lots of
that's
chapters.
pdsdebt.com/Candace. Okay, so new conspiracy just dropped. I'm dropping a new conspiracy today for funsies. You know, in the movie Mean Girls, when Lindsay Lohan sabotages Regina George, she sabotages her diet at least by giving her these nutrient-dense bars from Africa, but telling Regina that the bars are actually going to help her lose weight. And then she realizes that she's been sabotaged and she screams. That's what I have to imagine is happening at Turning Point USA. Like somebody's just setting Erika Kirk up, right? It's probably Elizabeth McCoy. I feel like if I had, it's her because they're like best friends, and Elizabeth and Mikey are like in the shadows, like it's going to be us. We're going to be next. Turning Point is ours. And so she's pretending to be Erika's BFF, but secretly giving her the worst advice of all time. She's like, you should wear glitter tonight. Glitter. I don't think there's enough glitter. You need glitter on the makeup, head to toe, all of it. You look amazing. Charlie loved pyrotechnics, and he also liked that Nicki Minaj Monsterverse. I think you need both. We got to do both. We need to put the fun in funeral. Oh, that's what I think. I think it's Elizabeth McCoy. Remember, it was Elizabeth
It's
McCoy.
a party.
It was her idea to put the tent up. It's her. This is my conspiracy theory. It's Elizabeth McCoy. She's going to slide to that spot. And then she's going to wear black, and she's going to actually mourn Charlie and be like, I don't know what Erika was thinking. She wants the throne. Anyways, that's my best excuse that I can offer, the best excuse that I can summon for every move that the organization is making, which has just been disastrous. It's clown world over there. And now, to add to that, to snowball, someone has made the brilliant decision to send a cease and desist letter to a relatively small YouTube channel who's made interesting videos regarding the finances of Turning Point USA. Has he gotten everything right? Of course not. We even said when he got something very wrong, like the wrong person, I tweeted and said, this is not the right person. You should take this down. And guess what? He immediately took it down and corrected it and removed it from his content. So this isn't like a bad faith actor by any means. It's wolves in finance. And I'm referring to the presenter, Zack Gregorio. I'm going to let him explain to you what happened. Take a listen.
This week, I received a letter from Turning Point titled Demand to Cease and Desist Defamatory Comments. This is the first step when someone sues you for defamation. I know there are a lot of people out there making videos about Turning Point, so you should pay attention to this. They have started sending out cease and desist letters, and for some reason, they've decided to start with me. Apparently, they cannot handle the criticism from my teeny tiny YouTube channel. This letter is showing the world the type of organization Turning Point has become under Erika Kirk. They want to send legal letters to small YouTube creators. So we're going to go through this letter. Now, it is nice that we have this letter with their official statements, but the letter does nothing to change my suspicions. It does not address most of my questions. Instead of answering my questions, it is the precursor to a lawsuit unless I change my statements. That does nothing to reduce my suspicions. For the sake of avoiding miscommunication, I can change the title of the video if that makes them more happy. I already changed it from More Fraud at Turning Point USA to More Fraud at Turning Point USA, allegedly.
Sorry. I just enjoy him. There's something about it. It's like my teeny tiny YouTube channel. Allegedly. I enjoy that. I'm sorry for laughing at that because it's funny. It is funny. And it's ridiculous. Guys, I thought we left in 2025. I thought that I did this for everybody. You can't just sue people to make them shut up. We have to be done with that as a society. It is a uniquely American phenomenon of suing people for everything. You know, get into your car accidentally gently touches somebody else's car. Now you need the cops there. The insurance agency is getting involved. I mean, the whole scam of suing people just needs to end. Okay, it just needs to end. Get a job, work hard. If you feel that someone is putting out wrong information about you, don't start a cease and desist letter with, we don't intend to sue you. That's what he's saying is correct. That is exactly what a cease and desist is for. It's the first step to suing somebody. Otherwise, this could have been an email. If I got him to take something out of his video after I shared it, I said, this is incorrect. And he did it, when I say instantly, over like, immediately took down the video and corrected it. Why can't Turning Point try to behave like a human and just have somebody email from the PR office, hey, Andrew, this could be you, and say, hey, I do PR for Turning Point USA. Happy to answer some of your questions. Just send them over. Or say, hey, you got this wrong. Do you mind please updating this? Like, it's like, this is not right. They have so much money. They just are spending money on stupidity. And again, what is your end goal? As he says later on, he's like, I don't have any money. What is your end goal here with sending this letter? It's obviously going to backfire. But I just want to say the energy of this, I have lawyers, I can sue you, I'm rich. It needed to be left behind in 2025 with Brigitte Macron. Okay. And of course, it backfires immediately.
Yeah, they want it to scare content creators. They want to chill free speech. And Turning Point thought they were too big to fail and too beloved to fail. Or no, they thought Charlie Kirk was too beloved to fail. But I believe he was too beloved to let them keep the charade going and to keep the lies going and to keep the murder a secret.
It backfires spectacularly because now Turning Point is on record because of this video and because of this letter that they sent him. They are now on record going against themselves on record. We have received so many different stories from them regarding the drones that were there on the day of Charlie's assassination. First, Frank Turek came out and he said that while they were driving over to the event, he was showing Charlie live drone footage on his phone. And Charlie loved it. He was like, it's amazing. Then Brian Harpole, apparently unaware that Frank Turek had already told the truth, he moved to tell Sean Ryan that actually there were no drones because the university denied their request to fly them. And people were like, hey, wait a minute, that's ridiculous. You guys are saying two different statements. Why does it look like you're lying all the time? So, of course, Andrew Colvett came out, swooped in with his always perfecting PR, and he said this regarding the mix-up. Take a listen.
Early on, Frank Turk talked about that on the way there that, he actually was looking at Charlie's phone and he saw drone footage from the event. Now, I had talked to, with that in mind, number one, I went to UVU and I actually put the drone up. We were going to do the survey. Immediately, law enforcement came up and said, hey, look, we need you to take down that drone. Now, my drone pilot had already made all the necessary steps with the FFA to make sure that we could do that. And I explained to the law enforcement officer, hey, look, you guys don't control this airspace. But he's like, well, we got policies, you have to do this. And we're not going to sit there and argue with them, right? So We ended up grounding the drone. We went and jumped through some hoops. We were trying to get some documents done. Long story short, what we ended up having to do was leave campus. We flew the drone. We were off campus. We flew the drone. We got the survey. So that kind of reinforced other people saying, Brian Harpole specifically saying, like, hey, we couldn't get permission to get a drone up in the air. And of course, people took that, what Frank said at the beginning, and said, hey, this is clear indication of lying and or a conspiracy. Well, what I found out was the picture that was being pushed around saying, hey, this is proof that there was drone footage was actually, it was very clear to me once I saw that picture. It is a wide angle shot of the crowd
and let's
from
throw
the
that
second
up.
floor.
Yeah, let's throw that up.
Yeah.
This is actually I think the images, guys, I sent them to you. Yeah, this is actually, there was a walkway or a bridge elevated that was just from our events team that was setting up that event. They went up there to, as they always did, to show Charlie the crowd size. So they took those images.
No, yeah, and I completely understand
20
why.
seconds, Gary.
Frank,
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand why Frank thought this was a drone, but again, I think it almost shows that the lack of conspiracy, because you guys aren't sitting there, micromanaging what people say. It's just different people's perspectives, and there isn't some sort of collusion.
No, of course not.
Yeah, that's really nice. Except now Turning Point USA's lawyer is going to dispute Andrew, and the worst PR, the worst person that PR money could buy, Paramount Tactical, because in the letter to Wolves in Finance, he says, no, there were drones, but it was only allowed for some people. But there were drones that day. Take a listen.
On December 7th, I posted a video called Top 10 Clowns of the Year.
This
In this
is a
video,
good one.
I called Turning Point my #1 clown of the year. I talked about the now infamous interview with Turning Point's chief security person talking about the day that Charlie Kirk was murdered. I point out the massive contradiction where he says they were not allowed to fly drones. Then I show the interview with Frank Turek where he says he was watching drone footage with Charlie Kirk. This part is breaking news because I'm not aware this has ever been discussed. The lawyer in this letter says the following: there was no discrepancy. UVU prohibited Turning Point USA from flying drones for security purposes during the event, but did allow a Turning Point USA media production drone to briefly fly over the location before the event to collect limited B-roll footage. First of all, how could this be defamatory if I had no idea about any of this? Second, I find this explanation absurd. You are telling me that the security team was not allowed drones, but the media team was? That is the official explanation from Turning Point's lawyer. My honest opinion is I do not believe that. But if that did happen, that is really silly, and it may have cost Charlie Kirk his life.
He is all of us. It's
He's
so
awesome.
absurd. Guys, you've had so much time to get your story straight. Where they're drones, where they're not drones. Now, it's okay, there were drones, but only some people could have them. The media team was allowed to fly drones temporarily, and then he saw that. We were just told by Paramount Tactical and Andrew that was just the wide shot that Frank saw. Now we're like, oh no, the media team, that is what happened. They were allowed to fly drones, but security couldn't. What? You're going to let media fly drones temporarily to get a shot, but you're not going to let the security team fly drones temporarily
Makes
to get a
sense.
shot of what they're looking at?
Makes
That makes
perfect sense.
And by the way, hey, Brian Harpole, how about being resourceful? If you figured out the media team could do it and they could get it to Frank, why didn't they get it to you? Why didn't they get to you what the rooftops looked like? Oh, I know, because you're all lying. That's pretty obvious by now. You're all lying. Please just stop lying
They can't.
about everything. Because eventually what's happening is what we're going through right now. The public is having to decide whether or not you have been making genuine mistakes repeatedly, or if you have been fibbing nonstop at all hours of every day because you're engaged in a cover-up. And I am of the latter opinion. I have been for a while. There are just too many inconsistencies at all time. It's not that difficult to remember the truth. Judge Judy watched it in bed with my grandma. If you're going to be a liar, you better have a good memory. And it turns out none of you guys have a good memory. The person that had the photographic memory is dead. That was Charlie Kirk. Okay. That was your boy wonder, and you've now lost him. Speaking of inconsistencies, for example, last week I told you that in working on this investigation, the theme of sex trafficking, it's coming up too much.
Over and
Child
over and
sex
over.
trafficking in particular. And so I was interested in Erika having said that while she was quote unquote living in China, she was working with victims of sex trafficking. Okay. I want you to remember what she said. Take a listen.
I decided to create something called Everyday Heroes Like You, where we're able to, originally, it was focused on bringing funds and awareness to various grassroots organizations that were in specific communities that would be able to have volunteers that are transparent with their funds, that are actually doing what they're saying they're doing, instead of just having 70% of the funds go to admin and only 30% towards the cause. It kind of grew into something more global. I was living in China and doing a lot of work with the victims from sex trafficking, and then began to phase that into working with the Marine Corps and the Army, and then was able to work with a orphanage in Romania to help sustain them during their winter seasons, and giving them more clothing items or tangible items rather than just money.
Then I told you guys that having asked this question through an official channel, Turning Point USA, I received a response alleging that Erika never lives there. So that's coming from Erika. She actually never lived there. They said that she simply visited for 2 weeks, you know, like a tourist, just to visit the Great Wall and perhaps see other monuments in history. Then somebody emailed me an interesting video of Charlie Kirk. And apparently he disagrees with that new assessment. This is a video of Charlie debating someone named Ben Carollo. Take a listen.
When you go to China, let me just tell you, you'll drive down the street and you will see dead people laying in the middle of the street. You will see people defecating. You
Go
will
to
see...
China then. Go to China. Take a video.
Actually,
Bring
you know
these
what?
Cameras.
My-
go
my-
to China. Take a
unlike
video
you-
with these cameras.
unlike
I dare
you-
you right now.
Unlike
go to
you,
do it.
my wife lived in China for 6 months, and she'll show you the videos. She'll show you the images. They don't have a regard for human life. They don't value people as the individual.
We're the-
What's going on here? Okay, will the real Erika Kirk please stand up? Okay, because this isn't, you can't say you lived there and say you didn't live there or there for a trip. And now you've got your husband saying my wife lived there. So he clearly thought you lived there. You thought you lived there. And then somehow now you don't want to live there. And the reason I think is because after doing a little bit of digging, I saw on a real estate profile that you said that it was the charity Everyday Heroes. So that would check out because that's what you were doing with that charity. And that's what you said in the interview. That was affiliated, or adjacent work that you were doing for Everyday Heroes in China. I would still like to know more about that. So since our official answer from Turning Point USA is that she was only there visiting, and yet we have her and Charlie on record saying that she was living there, I would like to know specifically what charity in China she was working with. And I'm sure, even though I know people in China don't have access to YouTube, I do know that they're somehow watching my show. If you know more about that.
Again, guys, remember, anybody in social media who tells you Erika doesn't owe us answers and Turning Point USA doesn't owe us answers, they do, because we support them and we fund them with our tax dollars in part.
What they were doing, what charity they were working on, I would like to know. More tips at CandaceOwens.com. Like I said, I'm working on this Erika Kirk timeline, and I want everything to be legit. And there's a lot of information out there. There is a lot of wrong information out there, a lot of correct information out there. I want to pull it all together. So more tips at CandaceOwens.com. When was she in China? What specific charity was she working with that was helping victims of sex trafficking? Anyway, in other news, great news, Operation Mocking Pastor is back. I thought maybe we're going to leave that behind.
Oh, we got quiet for a little bit.
Especially not when it comes to the Cornerstone Church. Remember, that was the church where we had the pastor get on stage and call me Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson when they get their talking points. And it looks like it's renewed, it's been refreshed. And this time, Cornerstone Church, different location, is also going to have a feature from our boy, Mr. Rob McCoy. Take a listen.
Hey everybody, Pastor Gary Hamrick here from Cornerstone Chapel, inviting you to a special Wednesday night service, January the 21st, where we're going to talk about anti-Semitism. It's on the rise in churches and in conservative politics. Consider Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. We'll talk about them too. I'll have special guests with me, Pastor Rob McCoy, the leader of Turning Point Faith, Samuel Smaja from Israel, an Israeli businessman, So join us on Wednesday, January the 21st.
The Israeli
See you then.
businessman. Not the Israeli businessman. Look, it is an Israeli business. Operation Walking Faster is an Israeli business. So I respect that. That's straightforward and it's honest. And so I hope you guys could go, and it's going to be riveting. Maybe somebody could ask him a question about why he's trying to rehabilitate people that went to prison for harming children. Might be more relevant than me saying that, you know, mass murdering Palestinians is wrong. I feel like that's more relevant, but maybe it's not, because anti-Semitism is now noticing. Right? Noticing what we're doing down in Argentina, noticing what we're doing over in Gaza and not getting into line and letting us get away with it. So it should be riveting. Again, don't know how people are attending these churches other than thinking of it as stand-up comedy, because that is a good reason. We all need to laugh. We all need to let loose. It's been, you know, last year was a tough year. And if you're looking for comedy, Rob McCoy and the Cornerstone Church can provide that. So thank you guys. Also, and just the topic of shamelessness. I don't know if we pulled this, Skylar. If not, it's cool because I can bump it to tomorrow. Did we see the Fox News thing? Do you have that? Like, they were basically promoting that Israel is giving Charlie an award for fighting anti-Semitism, like the country of Israel. Yeah, do you want to pull that up?
You guys
This is
probably,
it's
some
so
of you
shameless.
probably saw my
Israel will
post.
honor the late
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk with an award for opposing anti-Semitism. They're not going to stop. They're like, this ghost belongs to us. This belongs to
This
us.
ghost.
And it just makes you feel like they killed him.
Mhm.
I don't know. They're just trying and doing too much.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to love
From
the
the
fact that I
beginning.
have another text message that I'm going to reveal to you, which was sent to Charlie Kirk. Another, I would say, laced threat from one of his donors. I've got a lot more information coming because apparently,
He's ours.
hilariously, Turning Point USA purged a bunch of their employees that they thought were giving me information, and they weren't. And so now they're giving me information. So it's going to be
That's-
an amazing week. Tomorrow, though, we are going to have a joint show. My guest is going to be Baron Coleman. You guys have been asking for us to get together, and we are, because we both received a tip that is just, it's mind-blowing, actually. And I was like, look, you should just come on the show on Tuesday. Let's sit down and go
Nice.
through this and unpack it, because I think people are just going to go, what is going on in America? What is going on in the world? And yeah. Anyways, we're going to have a very exciting show. Let's take a brief break and throw it to some sponsors. I think it's pretty obvious that there is a war on truth right now.
Yeah. So Baron, the Real Baron podcast, he was a person also. There is a creator on X. Her name's Allie. I'll get you the name in a little bit, but her name's Allie, and she helped break. She's one of the first people who started alerting to the possibility of an electrocution that Charlie went through and experienced. And then through that, then they got to the exploding microphone battery pack shape charge theory, which is the soundest. And I believe that is what happened. Yeah. And as far as, you know, there are a lot of Jews who speak out against Israel. There are a lot. So, yeah. I'll play a video for you guys afterwards here that I have up on X. If you want to stick around just for a minute, it's a short one. But, you know, the true Jewish people are saying the state of Israel, they are not Jewish, which we are learning. Through all of this, they are not. But they want to pretend that they are. And the Judeo-Christian, the Christian Zionist, that's a super big, like, new word and something that they want to push. It's political. It has nothing to do with the Jewish people. Pyro, I wonder if they'll have pyrotechnics at the church event. If Erika has anything to say about it, for sure. Oh, goodness. Oh, this looks good.
Much more.
Maybe I should get those.
This New Year's, lock in with 50%
I eat
off
so
for 1
poorly.
year when you subscribe to the whole
I have
health
I
system
have a
supplements as preferred customer. Head to
I like salt.
balanceofnature.com today. That's balanceofnature.com.
Cheeseburgers.
Boy, did that chat light up when I said Baron Coleman and me were coming together. I
Yeah.
promised you we'd do it, and tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. I'm so happy that we're going to have him in studio. It'll be live, same time. If you guys would like to support this show and independent journalism, I have new merch on the website, which is exciting. So you can go there to CandaceOwens.com. The world is ghetto. It is ghetto. They were like, how could you say the world
nice.
is ghetto? You think you're an alien? All I'm saying is I look around at what is happening here on planet Earth, and I refuse to acknowledge that I could possibly be from here. I have to be from a different galaxy, a way classier galaxy. The world is indeed ghetto. You can get some of our other merch. You can get this conspiracy girly mug. It makes a great gift as well. All of everything that we have right now is super fresh. I love it. So head to CandaceOwens.com, and you can also buy the hard copy autographed bundle, both of my books signed by me. Also reminding you guys that our show is available in Spanish, French, and Portuguese. So if that is your first language, maybe it's your second language, you need to just get better at it. Links are in the description. Top comment from the last episode on Friday we aired. It was actually me being interviewed by Myron, which actually took place at the end of last year, and people really liked it. So we brought it forth onto this channel as well. And
Did you guys
this is the
listen to
top
that? I
comments
didn't.
From 3021. This person wrote, my children will inherit the America that I fight for, or the America that I remain silent about. I'm
Amen.
glad that I butchered my own quote. Yes, that's why I fight. And that's why I think everyone should fight and grow louder in saying the truth. I believe that. I just look at our kids and I think we're going to be cowards and they're going to inherit it. And you can just feel like Satan just wrapping his tail around the world, and they're close, but you can now also feel daylight is getting through and a lot of people are waking up. All right, what do you guys have for me in today's comments? Let's see what is on your mind. Moderator Marzi writes, it's MLK Day. Let's not forget the deep state tried to get him to self-delete after they stalked him for years and then tried to blackmail him. Maybe that's why they want us to accept a Charlie Kirk Day and forget about it after they harassed Charlie. That is the way of the deep state. That's why I said when they put up that Charlie Kirk Day, I was like, aw, they definitely killed him, right? I mean, come on. When they give you a day, it means we stalked you, we harassed you, we tried to destroy you and threaten you, and then we just found it easier to murder you. But we have we're guilty about that. So we're just gonna, they invited Kash Patel. It was wild. It was really wild. Dan Flood was there too. He was still providing security, which I thought was weird. Thought that was weird. Not gonna lie. Becca writes, Charlie believed in God and free speech, but not Erika. She is panicking. We see through your lies, Erika. We see right through you. I think that she is not leading that organization in a direction that Charlie Kirk would have led it. There, I will say that. The idea of a free speech organization, Charlie dying under a tent saying, I will debate you and your ideas.
She's not a free speech kind of girl. She just isn't.
I will prove you wrong, or you can prove me wrong. And now we've got legal letters going out to YouTubers like, you're wrong. You're just wrong. And I'm going to sue you. Or I'm not going to sue you, but I'm going to scare you. And then maybe I'll sue you. Scrub Girl writes, above. I grew up in Converse, Texas, and know New Braunfels, Texas well. It's definitely expanding rapidly the past couple of years. Yeah, I believe that there is some military stuff. One person said to me that it was an intel base. I couldn't find that myself. Maybe it's so good of an intel base that I didn't have enough intel on the intel base. That's a comment from our website.
Super
Jenny,
secret.
I love you, writes, I was in the GATE program. We spoke about that. They were big mad when we suggested that the military was working on kids in these programs. So I know we can take that home and go ahead and digest it as a fact. Whenever they get real big mad and they start paying people to make a bunch of videos real quick, like, Candace says, she's so crazy. She's crazier than she's ever been. It's crazy. I'm like, okay, it's not crazy at all. It's a fact. So it's a fact. 100%. Project Looking Glass, they were spazzing out about that one too. So I was like, we're inching ever closer to what's happening. Anyways, I was reading your comment, and here I am providing commentary before I even finished the comment. You said that of your GATE program, which was in a small district outside of California, you do not remember anything that was shady. Honestly, I felt like an outsider the whole time, but I only have about 5 or 6 solid childhood memories. The rest is blank. Is that normal? A lot of people in the GATE program said this, that they just have blank slates for their childhood. And I would say that's not normal. I would say that's not normal at all. I think we all usually have blank slates if we're 1, 2, 3, but you should remember your elementary school days. Facts All Biz writes, "Sup, Candace and crew. Dems love you. We may not agree on everything, but the way people are coming at you lets me know that you are the real deal. Respect from Brooklyn. Keep being real, G." Yeah, I'm just done with the false dialectic. I get what's happening. They're controlling both sides, and they're Satanists. There we go. It's obvious what's happening. And they have us yelling at each other, but they're causing all of the issues, and they're getting more and more control. That's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to achieve, is more control over the population. Michelle Miller writes, "It's amazing that investigating the suspicious death of your beloved friend has led you down all the roads that you were already dedicated to prior: global control and corruption. This path was meant to be. Christ is king." Yeah, all the roads seem to be converging, and we've noticed that.
Yeah.
I never thought that there would be all of this symmetry. And speaking about Brigitte Macron and the weird child stuff that's happening, and suddenly getting into the Turning Point USA story and going, why do I keep coming up with this theme of trafficking and children, and all of this feels so wrong, and the elites? And so you are absolutely correct. I do think that globally we are definitely experiencing an awakening. And like I said in last week's episode, Project Looking Glass, our awareness is combating things faster than anything else. All of us showing up every day and speaking about it and understanding it and grasping it. Yeah, that's it. That's the beginning of it. Beginning of the end for Satan's reign, I would say. KJO writes, "Will the real Erika Kirk please stand up?" Is absolute gold. It might take some heat off of the midget horse. Go Max and stay gold. Yeah, I'm struggling now with the different answers. And at first it was maybe confused and maybe aggrieved, but I'm like, you knew how long you were in China for. That's not something you don't just pick up every day and go to China. All right. You know that you weren't there for 2 weeks. You know you were there for 6 months, and you should just tell me what you were working with, who you're working with, so I can not have to constantly turn to the public for stuff. But you know what? Public is way more reliable. 10 out of 10 would recommend the decentralized intelligence agency, because we don't go after kids, right? We actually defend kids and protect kids, which should be our natural inclination. If we are a society worth existing, our inclination should be to take care of the elderly and to
The
make
vulnerable.
sure that children are protected from predators. And apparently that's not the inclination, left and right, of the people that are elite. Candy Caddy lastly writes, "When Barron is on, please play a video clip and, quote, forget to put it on the screen for us, that we can watch him watch a video like we do on his show." Okay, not sure what you're talking about.
He
there,
messes up like
but
I do.
I do think that we have to. What was that commenter who wrote? Was it Joe? Oh gosh, I was laughing so hard. If you guys have not seen that, Baron Coleman lost his cool on Joe, a commenter on his show. It was just absolutely brilliant and hilarious, and he just dragged Joe into, because she was doing the whole "Mitch Snow abused women 20 years ago. How dare you listen to anything he has to say about Fort Huachuca?" And he was like, "Let me explain to you how rational thinking works, Joe." And I would not be able to do it justice, but watch it when he just completely rips Joe. Don't be a Joe. You can be, actually, your name can be Joe, but you don't want to be a Joe.
Don't
in the
be a
comment
Joe.
section, if that makes sense. Anyway, we will have so much for you this week. Like I said, we have all new, fresh leaks from Turning Point USA, and things are getting interesting. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye, Candace. So you guys heard me use convergence, the word convergence, when I first started. And it is true. Let's go ahead and stop sharing this one. It is true. And especially when Candace starts talking about Satanism and evil and, all of that, they really go wild and crazy about that, because a lot of people would have us believe there is no such thing as evil. But if there's good, there's evil. The absence of good is only evil. So let me share one thing before we go, if you want to stick around and see this. But it is this, what I've been seeing a lot with the, a lot of Jewish people speak out against Israel and tell us, the real truth that our government doesn't want us to know, and that Bibi doesn't want us to know, and Zionists don't want us to know. So here, let me share that to stage. Okay, here you go.
We are
gathered today to protest Nefesh B'Nefesh illegal actions, and we are here today to say congratulations, New York City. After 77 years of Zionist propaganda, finally the Zionists need to hide their locations where they are promoting these illegal actions. They are scared. From what way they are scared? They are scared from the pro-Palestinian movements. They are scared from the anti-Zionist Jews, not because we carry weapons. No, we don't carry any weapons, but we carry something which is much stronger than any weapons in the world. It's much stronger than nuclear. We are here with the truth to say that this Zionist entity does not represent the Jewish people. This mass killing, displacing Palestinians for 77 years, do not speak in the Jewish name. It's illegal, it's have to stop. Finally, the world is waking up. We hope and we pray they should continue. They should be a hider. They should go out from the United States. We don't need the Zionists anymore. This is a danger for humanity. We are seeing rivers of bloodshed on both sides for 77 years. Why? Because this brutal occupation for 77 years, this rebellion against God.
Anyway, I've been seeing a lot of people like that speaking out. So anyways, it is going to be an exciting week ahead. I am so looking forward to having Baron on and Candace together. That will be really interesting. Anyways, to have both of them together, fun stuff. Anyway, I really appreciate you all being here. Please remember to subscribe and like this video. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your engagement in the chat, and I will see you later and see you soon. Bye-bye.
This is a better life. From scars to stars, from pain to bulletproof, to reach a better life. A better life with you. Talking news, pop culture life, love and scandal, heart to heart. Teresa, better life. Real is where the reset starts. No playing small. We rise, we fall. We laugh, we do it all. A better life is one brave call. Teresa, better life.